Well, hey, we finally here. The 2022 NFL season is ready to begin. I'm your host, Barry Barnes, founder and CEO of LockerTalk.com, ready to bring you some exclusive content all season long. Now, I know there was a grouping of undrafted players that I had always followed, but you know what? This year, I'm going to do something totally different. I want to open it up to all undrafted players. Yes, all undrafted players. We're going to bring you guys some great content this season. And just to give you a heads up about some good news dealing with the undrafted players in the NFL, I got some good statistics to lay out for you guys. Now, I know that a couple of years ago they talked about, hey, that there was more undrafted players in the NFL, more than guys that were drafted. You know what? That number kind of threw me off. No one really know where that particular stat came from, but we do know this for fact because me and my trusted staff, we all have went through this whole thing, breaking this thing down. There are now 791 undrafted players in the NFL out of the 2,208 players, not including the injury reserve. Just going by the players on the 53-man roster and the practice squad. But within that total, that 791 players is total, including the players that are on IR. So that we have in the league right now currently as of September the 9th, 791 players are undrafted. Now let's dig a little deeper into this undrafted number. This undrafted number is really significant because at one time these players was looked at as players that was going to be counted out, but now these players are now being counted on, which is a real big thing. Now, when we do this breakdown, check this out. Out of the 791 undrafted players, not including your offensive line, not including your special, your special team players or your kicking specialists, but out of that number, 73 players are in the starting lineup with these NFL teams. 73. And then when we dig a little deeper into this 73 number, not including the offensive linemen, not including the special teams players, but there are 13 fullbacks who are starters in the NFL that are undrafted. Did you know that? No, you didn't. That's why we're doing this. Why we're giving this whole breakdown, because all this stuff you guys do not know. Let us go a little deeper with this big time number. Now we know with the NFL draft, 256 players get drafted. Well, this year, out of the rookie class for undrafted players, 203 players are rookies. They're undrafted. That's in the NFL. They're starting the 2022 season. So that's about almost 80% of the rookies in the NFL are undrafted. That is fantastic. That's some good news you guys didn't know. Trust me, I know you guys didn't know. That's why we're giving this whole breakdown. Now within the teams, let's get into the team. The Jets, believe it or not, they have the least amount of undrafted players at 18, followed by the Kansas City Chiefs that have 19 undrafted players. Now, when we look at the most undrafted players, we give that title to the New Orleans Saints as they have 36, but followed by them are the Las Vegas Raiders and also the Los Angeles Chargers as they has 32 undrafted players on their roster. Then we get to the New England Patriots. Now, we cannot talk about undrafted players without talking about the New England Patriots. They have the most starters as undrafted players with six undrafted players in their starting lineup, which followed by the Tennessee Titans that have 5 starting undrafted talents on their roster. The Jacksonville Jaguars have the most undrafted rookies on their roster with 11. So that's a strong statement for the Jaguars that is really turning that franchise around. Love the new head coach. They have Doug Peterson there. He's really going to turn those guys around. With Trevor Lawrence as their future quarterback, we're going to see some great things coming out of Jacksonville in the next coming few years that's going to come by with that team. And then when we get into some good names, now we have some big time names, players that actually made the NFL top 100 list, voted by their peers. We had 5 players there. We had the dangerous Shaquille Barrett for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive lineman. He's on there. We had probably the greatest kicker of all time, Justin Tucker. He made the top 100 list for the NFL players, voted by his peers. Then we had the crafty cornerback Kenny Moore II for the Indianapolis Colts. He was on the list. And then the highly skilled running back Austin Eckler. He made the list, but the top undrafted player that was voted for by his peers in the top 100 players for the 2022 season was the Los Angeles Chargers cornerback C.J. Jackson. Now, Folks, this is a great breakdown. Again, we don't know where those stats came from about the undrafted players having the most players in the league, more than guys that were drafted. But you know what? This is a good start. We know from this point on that me and my trusty staff, we all got this whole breakdown down for you guys, letting you know that they are currently, as of September the 9th, 791 undrafted players in the NFL. And folks, it's going to get any better. We're going to follow this whole progress all season long. Make sure you stay connected to this podcast, because we're going to have some weekly highlights of what the undrafted players did weekly in the NFL. Everyone stay locked in. Follow me on all my social handles, and make sure you guys subscribe to the channel today. Don't let me come after you. I'll throw this ball at you. I promise you I will. Everyone stay blessed. Talk to you soon. Let's go.